Hello everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen. Happy Women's History Month. This is my third video for Women's History Month. I'll link the other two down below. And in this one, I thought I would talk about some of my favorite female characters. And these are not going to be in any particular order. I don't think ranking women is helpful, even if they're fiction. But I do think talking about female role models is helpful. So, getting right into it, I've got Hazel Grace Lancaster from The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Hazel is a teenage girl with cancer, and it is terminal, so she knows she has a fairly limited time. And I really like Hazel because she's a very level-headed character, and she's very caring, especially for her family. She doesn't want to hurt the people around her, even like at cost to herself. Like, she doesn't connect with people because she's scared of hurting them, because she knows that she is going to die eventually. And me and Hazel kind of share some similar views on life. She is agnostic. She says in the book that her favorite book, An Imperial Affliction, is kind of her Bible, which is kind of how I feel about The Fault in Our Stars and all my other books. And Hazel, doesn't seek out any sort of like attention or anything. She meets this other character in the book who very much wants to leave his mark on the world before he dies, and Hazel doesn't have this feeling, which I feel like that's a feeling that a lot of people have, and it's, very mature to kind of see that the marks that we leave are too often scars, as is said in the book, and that living a quiet life can be a better option. The next character on my list is Tiger Lily from Tiger Lily by Jodi Lynn Anderson. This is a Peter Pan spinoff that focuses on Tiger Lily, of course, and it is about her kind of being an outsider in her own tribe. And her adoptive father is also an outsider, sort of an outsider as a gay man. He's the tribe's medicine man, but early in the book, Tiger Lily rescues an Englander from a shipwreck and nurses him back to health. She's an extremely caring character. None of the other members of her tribe will go near him. They believe he should have been left for dead, and that caring for him will lead them to catch the aging sickness. Nobody on Neverland ages, of course, but Englanders do, so all the tribe members are very scared of catching the aging sickness, and Tiger Lily just decides to take that risk in order to save this stranger's life. And later in the book, this is a little bit spoilery, but later in the book, the Englander kind of becomes accepted by the tribe and starts teaching the tribe the ways of the English, and begins telling them, like, being gay is wrong, and gets the tribe to kind of ostracize Tiger Lily's adoptive dad and the tribe's medicine man even more than he already was, and all sorts of other not so great teachings that Tiger Lily, despite her caring for the man and saving his life, she doesn't just go along with these teachings. So Tiger Lily is very independent-minded while also being open-minded. She was the first one to accept the Englander, but then she does not just accept everything that he says if she doesn't agree with it. She's also just an incredibly strong and independent character. She herself has been ostracized by the tribe for basically her entire life. She's sort of different than everyone else in the tribe and kind of runs with the boys, and I believe there was something that made the tribe believe she was bad luck when she was a small baby, and so she just has to kind of figure things out for herself. Next, I have Starr Carter from The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. This book is about a teenage girl who witnesses her unarmed friend being shot by a police officer, and she and her friend are both Black. And so the book kind of is about her deciding whether or not to speak up about this and kind of the fallout from this. And again, this may or may not be a little bit spoilery, so fair warning. But she does decide to speak out and tell the story, which is what makes her a great female role model. It is very hard to speak out when there has been a wrong like this that you have very little reason to believe that speaking out will lead to any sort of justice, and in fact could lead to harm for yourself, which Starr is definitely in this situation, not just in having to be worried about retaliation from the police and the media, but also because there is a gang in this book that is also not wanting her to speak out and is threatening her. But she chooses to anyways because it is what is right, and she wants to speak up for her friend and also speak up for the cause of Black Lives Matter. So that, of course, is part of what makes her such a strong female character. But there are also kind of smaller, quieter ways in which she shows her strength. She chooses to stop being friends with one of her lifelong friends because her eyes kind of in this situation are open to the fact that her friend is kind of racist. It was something that she didn't really see before or realize, or she would hear her friends say questionable things but just sort of shrug it off as a joke and move along. But speaking up about the shooting helps her to also speak up against her friend. One of Starr's favorite books in this book is the Harry Potter series. Her and her friends loved the series growing up, and I think her continuing her friendship with this particular character kind of reflects a very famous quote from Harry Potter. It takes a great deal of courage to stand up to your enemies, but just as much to stand up to your friends. So also kind of a shout out to another strong female character here of Hermione Granger. Next on my list is Tally Youngblood from Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I feel like Tally kind of belongs in the same department as Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games, but I think everybody knows Katniss, so I wanted to talk about Tally. This series is about a dystopian society in which teenagers at the age of 16 get a surgery to make them supermodel, gorgeous, kind of whatever the society's standards are. And again, slight spoiler here. Little do they know that in these surgeries, they are also having things done to their mind in order to make them kind of happy, compliant, bubble-headed people. And so at the beginning of the series, Tally is very much a part of this vapid society. She is very much looking forward to her pretty surgery, but she gets introduced to another way of life out in the wild where there are people who don't have the surgery, and the secret behind the surgery is revealed to her, and she kind of reevaluates her entire worldview. And then at the end of this book, so big spoiler, Tally is forced into the surgery against her will. And after that, of course, she no longer has the same outlook on the world because her brain has been changed against her will. But once again, she sort of gets reintroduced to this other way of life, and she is able to kind of rewire her brain. And so I think this is what makes Tally really powerful, is that she refuses to be what society tells her to be, whether they are doing this through socialization, and she's choosing to look at the world and say, no, this society is not right, or whether it's like actually working through basically brain damage to realize that what's going on is not right. And then also she's just a really badass character. She's one of those dystopian action girls who's riding hoverboards everywhere and bringing down regimes. Next on my list is Cath from Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Cath is, I feel like, a much quieter but more realistic, strong female character, and she kind of shows a different side of being strong. Cath has social anxiety, which she has to work through every day, and I think she's a great example for shy girls and can make a shy girl, I feel like, feel seen, and this is a character that quieter people can connect with. And Cath is just, even though she's shy and quiet, she's not afraid to love things full on. She is most definitely a fangirl. And even if it's not the most popular or what her friends like, she likes to read and stay in, and she doesn't let herself be peer pressured into drinking or sex or anything else. She is totally herself despite her shyness. Next on my list is Miri from Princess Academy by Shannon Hale. This book is about a mountain community that is chosen as the next location for the princess of this large kingdom. And so the mountain people are not the wealthy people of this society, and they don't, have all the royal etiquette training and all that. And so the lowlanders decide they're going to send all the girls on the mountain to the Princess Academy to get trained up on how to be princesses, should they be chosen as the next princess. And the main character, Miri, is kind of an outsider in her mountain community. She is quite small, so she cannot work in the quarries. So she cannot work in the quarries. But because of this, she's kind of able to see things from a different point of view than everyone else on the mountain. And she's able to discover this sort of hidden talent that they all have that the people who work in the quarry kind of take for granted, and they don't realize what power it gives them. But Miri does, because she doesn't get to work in the quarry and she wants to all of her life. And so she kind of has an outsider's view and is able to see the power that her people have. And because working in the quarry is not an option to her, she's kind of able to decide for herself what she wants her fate to be. She knows she doesn't want to take care of the goats all of her life. And so when they're sent to the academy, she's very excited for the opportunity to be able to go to the lowlands and learn and be more than just the goat girl. And also in the series, she becomes a teacher. She really loves being at the academy and learning to read, and she brings that up the mountain and sets up a school for everyone else on the mountain to be able to learn, because she doesn't think it's fair that just the girls are getting to learn just because they might be princesses one day and nobody else gets to learn anything. So she's a very resourceful character, very smart and independent and caring. Next on my list is Violet Baudelaire from A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. This series is about 3 orphan children who are incredibly intelligent, and a sort of evil character is after their fortune that has been left by their parents. And Violet is the oldest, and she is the inventor of the trio. Her younger brother is sort of the reader, and their younger sister is just a baby in this series, but she ends up kind of being an extraordinary chef, and she lends help occasionally with her very sharp teeth. But I think it's really nice that Violet is the inventor. It's nice to see a girl in STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. And it allows Violet to take a much more active role in their adventures, which is nice. It's nice that she's not kind of left sitting on the sidelines. A lot of times I feel like boys will get the more active role, and here she's kind of the one that gets to make things and do the more physical activities, while Klaus is the one kind of researching and finding the information that they need. And there's also really no romantic storyline throughout the entire series. There's maybe a vague crush happening here and there, but certainly is never center stage and is never a main part of the story and doesn't go anywhere like beyond crush land, which it's fine to have romantic storylines, but it's also nice sometimes to have characters who just are focused on other things. So yeah, a great role model in Violet. The final strong female character on my list is Darcy Patel from Afterworlds by Scott Westerfeld. Darcy is really an inspiration for me. She is 18 years old, I believe, and she's having her first book published and moving to New York. And this is actually told in alternating chapters, with one set being Darcy and then the other set being the book that she's written, which is really cool. But yeah, reading a book about someone getting published for the first time is really fun and it's inspiring. And she's living on her own for the first time, which of course is like a very normal thing to do. Most people do eventually go out and live on their own, but it's not something that you see all the time in stories, and so it's kind of cool to see in a story format a character coming into their own and getting their own place and having to be an adult and figuring that whole process out. And so yeah, definitely a very motivational character in that she is living out a dream that is also a dream of mine. So yeah, these were some of my favorite female characters. Definitely all very inspiring. Let me know down below some of your favorite female characters and what about them you find most inspiring. Thanks for watching. Remember, words matter.